Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So today we're going to talk about the Netflix special on the Christopher Watts case and answer some questions that have been asked of me through different venues on the case and who was involved in the case itself. Thank you for joining me today. So first, to start off with, the number one most pressing question was, did the Ruschek family consult or did they give approval for the Netflix special on Christopher Watts? From what I'm able to ascertain through secondary parties, yes, they did know of the Netflix special was being made, and yes, they did allow for it to take place, and they will, from what I understand, may be compensated for that. That's all I can actually guarantee at this point, or say, or talk about on that actual point. Did the Watts family consult and did they or give permission for the special itself? I cannot find an answer for that, and I am sorry for that. The next question that was asked the most about the Netflix special: did I, in some way, take part in it, get paid, or anything else, since they used my likeness in the documentary that was aired on the Lifetime Network? Did I make any money off of this? No, I didn't make any money off of that, and I didn't make any money off of this, nor did anybody ever reach out and consult me on this. So, unfortunately, to all those people out there who want to hate me, I didn't make any money off it, and even if I was to receive money off it, I'd give it all away like I did for every single one of the videos I've done in the series, and including this one. Next question that was asked of me was, do I know if the Christopher Watts, himself, is this GoFundMe that has been set up, and these people who are trying to raise money for a new trial for Christopher Watts, for an appeal, are these people involved in the Netflix special in any ways? I cannot find any of their names in the actual credits anywhere at all, so I would have to say that they are not involved in it. But it is deplorable that someone is actually starting a GoFundMe to try to get Christopher Watts a new trial. And no, GoFundMe won't shut it down just because we don't agree with it, what they're actually raising money for. It's completely illegal to do so, and if they don't use the money, for what its intended purposes, then people who actually give money can ask for their money back. So let's go ahead and jump into the documentary now. First, my commentary. It's really fitting, isn't it, that here we are in 2020, and with the state of the world and everything that's been going on around us, and just as strange, as bizarre, and everything that's been going on, it's fitting that here in 2020, we now have a Christopher Watts special on Netflix. We have truly entered the Twilight Zone, and this is all made up. We are all living in an alternative universe, because only now in 2020 would this Netflix special actually make sense, and would it be ever released. So, covering some of the background on the case, not in order, but if you remember how the case started, originally it was Christopher Watts telling, Shannon's friends that, she was missing. Then he made his little crocodile tear, plea to, anybody out there to bring his family home. And that he talked about missing his daughters and wishing that they could run through the door and give him a big hug. And we all know in hindsight now that he had already killed them and disposed of their bodies. We know that in hindsight. Looking back on that video, the interview he did for the local affiliate station there in, at his home in Frederick, it's hard. It's hard to look back at that and see this man actually pleading for his family's safe return when he killed them and disposed of their bodies. already at that point. Then we had the body cam footage and the CCTV from the neighbor's home that came out. And the shocked look and surprise of, Christopher Watts when he realized that his neighbor's cameras were pointed at the side of his home and actually could show the driveway. Then we had the hatred. As fast as this content was coming out and we were putting it up online, creators like myself, and keeping it as factual as possible, keeping our opinions out of it, and allowing our viewers to actually make an opinion for themselves based on the actual evidence that was released. The hatred, the lies, the rumors started right along with it. Those who couldn't or wouldn't do the actual legwork themselves piggybacked off of others like myself and other channels to gain the information that they wanted and needed, to convince others to give them money that they so richly needed or desired to get. And yes, in a lot of ways it made certain YouTube channels what they are today. Some of them have 40, 50,000 followers, and others like myself and Scott Reich over at Crime Talk and True Crime Loser, Scott Sharp, and quite a few others. I'm just naming just a few of us out there who really work to keep this as factual as possible, to keep it, our opinions out of it, and just give everybody the right to make up their own minds, to show people that as the information came out, it was coming out faster and faster and faster. And this is an unprecedented, a series of events that happened in this case. There's never been a true crime event that played out in the media, mainstream and here online in social media, as much as the Christopher Watts case did. Every time you turned around, more information was being released. Some of us who really dug into it and knew how to get information, like Scott Reich and myself and a couple others, we knew directly how to get the documentation directly. And we put it forth in as fast as motion as we could. And yes, sometimes along the way, mistakes happened. They happen to everybody. We're human. We made mistakes, and whenever we made mistakes in it, we were quick to apologize and humbly accept that we made these mistakes. And yet, others found ways to nitpick it, and make another dollar off of our mistakes and drive us and try to drive us away from reporting on this and dealing with it. And quickly, after the body cam confessions, the polygraph videos, and everything else, and throwing in there, Christopher Watts, talking about his lovely vacation with his mistress, and everything else, and all that coming along, everything just as quick as it started, it ended. Because we had the confession. We had Daddy, consoling him and telling him it'll be all right as he confessed to the crime. Not entirely. He still blamed Shanann for it. But then the trial started. And Chris quickly, in motion, took a plea deal to save his life. To keep the needle out of his arm, if you will. Sentenced. And then off to Wisconsin he went to serve out the rest of his natural life with zero possibilities of parole. Just like that, as soon as it started, it was already over and he was in prison. And here we are, the general public, still trying 2+ years later, trying to put the pieces together to make sense of it in our heads, to make sense of why or how this could happen. Are there signs of someone who is going to do something like this to their family? Trying to figure it out. And still, again, 2+ years later, we don't have the answers. And we're never going to get the answers, because the only one with the answers is an habitual liar who is serving out the rest of his life in prison, who is saying anything he will to anybody who writes to him, so he can get a couple of bucks, so he can have someone to console him, to get somebody to be on his side. And we're never going to get the answers. And even if he was to give the answers today, would we believe it? That's the number one question. How could we actually believe anything he says from here on out? Then along came the highly plagiarized book by Miss Cato. And it, even as a highly plagiarized book, it's not a very good book. It doesn't stick along the factual lines of the case, of the evidence that is known in the case. And there's some parts of it that are, just very poorly written. Maybe that's where she then inserted the plagiarized, portions of her book. But to the documentary itself on Netflix is 1 hour and 23 minutes in length. Sure, they could have made it a much longer documentary. They could have made it into a 5, 6, 7, 8 part miniseries and kept dragging it out and talked to more people, covered more events in the entire thing. They could have spent more time, and they should have, when it came to how social media played a major part in this entire case, and how it affected other cases and true crime cases going forward. But overall, on a scale of 1 to 10 for the documentary that is on Netflix, I give the documentary about an 8.5. Unfortunately, I did watch the entire thing, and then I rewatched parts of it again to make sure that it actually matched up with factual information. I do like the way that they did some of the blending of especially like the text messaging between Shanann and her friend, Nicole Atkins, and how it looked like it was happening in real life. There are other things in there that definitely they put a lot of emphasis on, like Shanann's social media and her Facebook Live. But they didn't touch too much on the actual social media and how true crime, reporters and people out there like myself and others that I've mentioned earlier played out the case and how it played out on social media and on YouTube. And again, this will affect other cases going forward, because now we have that metric that we hear of the Christopher Watts, and most cases deal down here, releases of information. Factual information releases are here, where the Christopher Watts case, again, was here. We'll never, hopefully in my lifetime, we'll never see a case like the Christopher Watts case happen. It has played out similarly a couple of places, like the Jones cases down in South North Carolina. We've had other cases like it where there've been family annihilators, but nothing like this. A lot of it has to do with how people connected with the family. They were able to sympathize with Shanann. They could see some part of themselves or their sister or mother within Shanann, and understanding that she would do anything and everything for her children. And it didn't help, and it still doesn't help the Ruszczyk family and the Watts family, for some part, to find closure and move on with life, when the hatred that is out there today still is drawing, major attention from around the world. And these events are playing out the way that they do on social media. They keep on rehashing the information over and over and over again. And these people who are doing it, do it to make a buck. And they won't come out and tell you that they're doing it to make $1, but they do. And as wrong as it is, it's also their right to do it, even as hurtful as it is. As long as they don't cross the line, and some have definitely crossed the line, to borderline on cyber stalking and bullying of other people, especially those innocent people left behind. The documentary itself, camera-wise, editing, and background music and stuff like that, was very, well done and tastefully done. Respectful wise, it did give a very good light and paint a good picture of Shanann and the girls and their relationship, and put Christopher Watts in the light that he deserves. He deserves a lot worse. he deserves not to be mentioned ever again. But the documentary would have been doing an injustice if they left him out of it completely and focused it just on what happened to more what Shanann. But it was balanced. So again, I give it about an 8.5 out of 10 on a scale of documentaries, and especially for the coverage of this case. For those who are interested, when it comes to the lifetime special that was done and the Oxygen Channel special they did together, their documentary I give a 4, maybe a 4.5, 5, somewhere in there for their version. It was rushed and it was cut up and it looked like something that somebody made in their basement, as opposed to this Netflix special, which was very highly well done. So that's my view on it. So where do we go from here? Well, we all go back to living our lives. Christopher Watts is going to rot in prison. And by the way, he has a 0.001% chance of getting an appeal through, or actually being able to file an appeal on any grounds at all. Because he only got the avenue of errors by the court or his attorney to file an actual appeal. And if there was anything at all in there to file an appeal on, every legal scholar out here and two-bit, a detective and attorney on the internet would have seen it by now. And there's nothing there. So if you want to give your money to someone because you believe they deserve a new trial, give your money to the Innocence Project. I will have a link to their website in the comment section, description, of this video. There, your money will actually go to help support people who are truly innocent. Thank you for joining me today, and everyone, stay safe out there. Until next time.